David Wheway.
It's going to come out
Wheway. This is
isn't it?
I'm so sorry.
Get called all sorts.
I'm so sorry, David. I know, if there's going to be an issue, it's me doing 15 introductions trying to make sure that I get everything right.
The only other thing is you can write it down if you want and spell it.
I shall try and use my brain. We'll see if that works, and if not, we'll resort to writing it down. But I think we'll be good. Okay, well, I'm Mark Ferguson, and I'm delighted today to be talking about making tax digital, which is an important subject that's going to be hitting all VAT-registered businesses very soon. Now, today, I'm in the stock room at Christians Shoes of Market Harborough. You can probably tell by the boxes, footwear and paperwork around me. And I'm delighted to be joined by David Wheway, who's the owner of Christians Shoes of Market Harborough, and also Claire Elsby of Elsby Co Accountants and Business Advisors. So welcome both of you. Pleasure to be here.
Thank you.
Okay, great. So we're going to be talking about making tax digital. So let's dive straight in there, Claire. For the sake of anyone who hasn't heard about this HMRC initiative, which from what we've been saying previously sounds like quite a lot of people, can you just begin by telling us what making tax digital is, please?
Okay. Making tax digital is actually a government initiative to help us have all our tax information in one place, and that is going to be known as a personal digital tax account. So it's already started from that point of view. Right. And what the government are doing, or HMRC are doing, is making the most of cloud technology and plugins to be able to pull information from all sorts of different sources. So if you register today and go on to your personal digital tax account, you will be able to see, hopefully, your P60. If you're employed, you'll be able to see your state pension entitlement. And if you, as an employed person, you can also see how your tax code is made up. And you can also communicate with HMRC that way if you feel your tax code is incorrect in any way. So really, HMRC are driving this as being the way they want to communicate with you, and you can communicate with them.
Okay, so I mean, that all sounds terrific, and I'm picking up a lot of words there about going online and interacting with the cloud, and HMRC are encouraging us to do all of this. But I have to ask, why? Why is this happening? What happens if we don't get involved with making tax digital? Can I just ignore it?
You can probably get away with it at the minute, but gradually over time we will all be forced into doing it. It's a bit like if you think of the banking industry. We do so much online now. Checkbooks are probably going to be something in the past quite soon. We do. We're driving towards a cashless society, contactless cards. So it's almost happening by stealth, if I'm honest.
Right. Okay. Well, I've got to bring David in, obviously, at this point, because we asked the question: why are we actually here at Christians Shoes and in the stockroom having this lovely conversation? David, what's your experience so far of making tax digital? But maybe a step before that, tell me a little bit about Christians Shoes and how you've kind of got into that whole accounting process that we're talking about.
We are a very traditional business, family shoe shop, and we're built on the values of strong service to our customers. I think my philosophy in business is to keep it very simple, and that would mean paper records basically. So I was made very aware through my relationship with Elsby Co that making tax digital was on the horizon. So when Claire Emery suggested that we got going with it sooner rather than later, that seemed like a good idea to me, rather than be lastminute.com.
Okay, great. And sorry, and Claire Emery is?
My accountant within Elsby Co.
Ah, I see. Right. Okay, that makes the connection for me. Okay, great. So, but what are the kind of accounting challenges, perhaps, that you faced as a business? Did you really get kind of pushed into making tax digital, or did it just come very naturally? Did our Claire Elsby here say to you, this is really what you should be doing, and you thought, why not? Or is there an important issue that you're seeing on the horizon there for your business?
I think because I was made aware that we are going to have to go down the route of making tax digital, so it wasn't an option in my eyes. So I thought I may as well embrace it. It's been a very straightforward and simple process. Liz Brewster is Elsby Co's cloud accounting manager, and she came to see us having looked at our accounts. She set up, she really tailored the system, the program to us, so by the time she came to show it us, it was pretty much, it looked like our accounts, and she just ran through a few things over a 2-hour period, left me with it. I then ran with that for about 2 or 3 weeks, made a couple of mistakes, but it's very forgiving, and then she came back for another 2-hour period, and I've gone away with it, and it's found it very easy from there.
So it was that simple and straightforward to set up?
Yeah.
Wow, I don't want to sound like a washing detergent salesperson or anything like that, but it does sound very straightforward. I mean, Claire, can you tell us a little bit about the kind of process that a company has to go through to get set up on Making Tax Digital?
Yeah, I mean, why we're talking about it, I was saying about it from a personal perspective. Where it's actually going to affect businesses is next April. And the government have decided that they will start with Making Tax Digital for VAT. And the reason behind that is that VAT registered businesses are quite used to doing quarterly returns. So they have a system and a process in place for doing that. The VAT returns themselves won't change. The information on those returns won't change. The deadlines for submitting those returns won't change. But what is changing is how you submit them. So the old way of going on to the .gov website and putting the figures in at midnight on the burning the midnight oil to get your VAT return in, that's going to disappear. That will no longer be there. And what HMRC are, and this is where they are forcing businesses, they want a digital connection between the back of your software and their portal. And that is through a thing called an API or a plugin.
Right.
So you will no longer be able to sit there and actually put the figures in yourself. It has to be digital. It has to be seamless.
Okay, so I mean, I've got to go back to David. There's a lot of, it sounds as though there's a lot of technicality going on here, and you mentioned about really it was almost like a 2-hour process, and things seem relatively straightforward. Now, would you describe yourself as a particularly technical person? Did you get hung up or tripped up in any of the pre-setup to Making Tax Digital where you thought, this is almost too much, I have no idea what's going on?
Not at all. I'm a very low-tech person. I've always done, as Claire will know, I've always done my accounts manually, claim to enjoy doing them manually, and did to a degree. I didn't think I spent too much time doing it, but found I couldn't really do it in shop hours at my desk, which is behind you. So that would be sort of on the dining room table where you have time to spread out in an evening, Sunday afternoon typically. I have found since doing through the Making Tax Digital, through the cloud program, that I actually can do it because it is so easy. I can actually do it in shop time, between customers, so to speak. So in that sense, it really has saved me some time and has made it easy.
Well, so I mean, are you the person who does all of the accountancy input, or have you had to train up any of the members?
No,
of staff?
I've always liked to do my own accounts. I do my own payroll, and I embrace the RTI payroll. So I guess I went through that, but I found that very simple. And I've found this even more simple, and already, only 6 months into it, I certainly wouldn't want to go back to Sunday nights around my dining table.
Right, so I mean, do you feel pleased in a sense, I don't know if that's the right word, that you've been, I guess what we could call an early adopter for this process ahead of this April 2019 deadline?
Absolutely. I mean, I thought I had a bad attitude towards the government, another big brother thing of forcing you into something, but hey, I feel like an old dog with a new trick, and it's been a great thing, and it's just so easy, and I can't sort of stress that enough, how easy it is.
Okay, well, that's reassuring to know. So, Claire, going back to this issue about how many businesses are actually aware currently of this imminent deadline that they've got to be a part of in April 2019, exactly what is the issue, do you think? That I think it's something like only 40% of businesses are currently aware, 40% of VAT-registered businesses are currently aware that HMRC are going to be clamping down on this issue come really the beginning of next year. Why do people not know?
HMRC haven't been putting the message out there, basically.
Why?
There's been no advertising. Letters have gone out this week. So literally this week, letters are arriving on business doorsteps. I guess there's a big thing, Brexit. And so, you know, the HMRC have got other things on their mind. And all I can think of is that is possibly the reason. When RTI came out, as David mentioned, there was a lot of advertising at that point. Auto enrolment again, there was a lot of TV advertising. There has just been nothing about this. HMRC have been running a closed pilot, which is now open. Okay. So businesses can register. So if, like David, they are ready, they can actually go online and start using the Making Tax Digital portal to submit and just check that everything is going where it's supposed to go. But actually it's for VAT registered businesses starting in April. So the first time, say for example a quarter ending next June, they will have to submit by the end of July next year. So that's when the first businesses will actually be having to do it. Okay. In practicality.
Okay, so David, going back to you and the process that you've been through, what you describe sounds relatively straightforward, relatively painless, which I guess has always got to be a good thing in business. Do you feel, after the experience that you've had, that this is a process that you would recommend to other organisations, other companies to go through now, or can they leave it and not worry about it too much? What do you think?
As I understand it, you need to get on with it. Why leave it till the last minute? It's always best not to be under pressure, and we all know in business pressure comes at us in different ways, and one of the horrible pressures of being in business is being behind with your accounts and your bookwork. I think every single businessman would concur with that statement. So I feel that I'm on the front foot. I'm ahead of the game. I'm level. I'm not behind, which is a great feeling, especially in a small business.
It's got to be a good place to be, basically, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so Claire, the practicalities of switching over. I know that we've talked about this a little already, but the actual business owner, the VAT registered organisation out there listening or viewing our discussion today, what do they actually have to do? What are the practicalities of getting set up? Where do they go?
Okay, first thing is they need to think about how they do their VAT returns at the minute. So if they are using a cloud package, say for example Xero, Sage Online, Free Agent is another one, QuickBooks is another one. These are all packages that are on the HMRC approved list for MTD. So they shouldn't have to do too much at all. There'll be a switch at the back of the system come next April, which will allow them to make the submissions online. So they should feel quite happy that they're fine. We have a lot of clients where they have bought systems in the past, maybe gone to Currys or PC World and bought a system off Sage, for example, bought it in a box, unwrapped the box, loaded up the disk, and have been using that system for maybe 5, 6, 7, 10 years. Never needed to upgrade it. It's just always done what it needed to do. It used to calculate their VAT figures and then they would go online and put their VAT numbers in. Those businesses will have to do something. So they will have to go onto a cloud package. So they could, if they're say with Sage, they could look at upgrading to a Sage Online system. And they will have to talk to Sage about the cost of doing that, because obviously there will be a cost. The way that software companies are working these days is that no longer can you go in and buy a package off a shelf. You have to subscribe on a monthly basis to these cloud accounting packages so that they're always up to date and so that they can always communicate with HMRC. So the way that people are paying for packages is different. What we're finding is that clients are taking this as an opportunity to look at how they're actually doing their accounts and could another system be better for them. So we're working with clients to evaluate their businesses and really drill down and see what's the best option. If a client is using Excel spreadsheets, they have they have to do something. So they will either again go onto the cloud, of which there's lots of benefits to doing so, or they could possibly look at using what's called bridging software. But again, the whole system from their books to HMRC has to be seamless and it has to be digital. For someone using paper records, they definitely have to do something. So they could then go to Excel spreadsheets, but I would have thought that would be a step backwards. So, and it's
more straightforward to get directly involved with the cloud software. Yeah?
Yes,
and embrace the cloud,
and reap all the benefits that it can bring.
Okay, great. Well, this is really a question for both of you, I guess. I want to talk, we mentioned about the cost of these packages. Now, David, I naturally don't want to drill down into exactly how much you're paying for your particular software package, but there have been some nutty reports, it seems, in the media that some companies have been crawling out of the woodwork and saying, yeah, we're happy to transfer you to Making Tax Digital for £120,000 or £30,000 or something like that. And when Claire and I have discussed this off camera, you've kind of recoiled in shock and horror that it should actually be nowhere near that kind of price. So what have your experiences been, I guess, from the retailer point of view and from the accountancy and business advisory point of view in terms of cost effectiveness of undergoing this process as well?
Well, I think it's very low cost. I don't have my actual figures to hand, and there's such minimal quarterly fees. I hardly know them. Less than £5 a week or something like that. I mean, to set up to start with, Liz came along for 2 sessions, so that was just a few £100. So I've not spent anywhere near £1,000.
Right. So you haven't had to take out any additional mortgages or anything like that to get yourself through this process. Okay. Well, that's good to know. So yeah, Claire, what about your perspective on all this weird pricing stuff that seems to be thrown around?
It doesn't have to be expensive. The main, I would say, the main software packages out there, the Sage, the QuickBooks, they're about £25 a month if you're a VAT registered business. Obviously, there might be a little bit more if you carry a lot of stock, or you want to cover things like foreign exchange. But for most businesses, it's probably about £25 to £30 a month for the subscription.
Wow, so it's that straightforward. Yeah. So it sounds as though it's fairly straightforward. It sounds as though it's fairly cost effective and not like particularly onerous. And it sounds like a lot of people still don't know about the process of making tax digital.
I think one thing I would say is we do have a number of clients that I would call bespoke businesses. So they use bespoke software. So for example, firms of solicitors, we have a travel agent, letting agents, estate agents, where they all have their own software system. Those won't be compatible with Making Tax Digital. So there has to be some connection between the back of their software and the HMRC portal. And what we're probably looking at working with them is a type of bridging software. But again, that is not expensive and it doesn't have to be. And I think there's quite a number of IT companies out there who see this as an opportunity, I guess, to make money, where really it doesn't have to be like that. They should come and talk to their accountant.
Okay, and make sure that they really are getting a good deal on what it is that they need to do going forward. Okay, well, David, I've got to ask you, just almost kind of off the accountancy subject for a moment, let's just talk about footwear and yourselves as a business. How is the market at the moment? How's the high street operating for you? Is business good? Are you a happy person in the run-up to Christmas?
Ho, ho, ho. Yes, we're holding around and we're ticking along. Nothing gets any easier in life, where the retail is well documented. It isn't going through the easiest time at the moment, and there's all the online competition, but we're holding around. We sell nice shoes in a very nice town, generally to very nice people. We're very service driven. We carry a large range of shoes and afford people the time and space to take their time over fitting shoes. So that's the essence of our business, and I think there is still a strong future in that. We don't trade online. Shoes in particular are notoriously high returns, and I don't have any appetite for that personally. But yeah, that's where we are at the moment. So yeah, we're doing okay.
I love the idea that you describe yourself as a non-technical person, but you seem to have absolutely embraced the whole cloud process as something hopefully that makes your business life a little easier.
Absolutely, and as I said before we started, I didn't understand really what the cloud meant. These phrases come into life and we hear it, but people like me don't really understand it. But now I do understand it, and it's basically, like I said, it's like your bank account is there with your bank. You go in and out as you need it, and it's rather like that with your accounting. You just, whether you do it at home, on your laptop, on your tablet, wherever you are, you can just do it like you go into your bank account, and that's, as I understand, the cloud. So I think there's a lot of myth and uncertainty, unknown, and people are fearful of that, as I was before I started, but all fear's gone from me.
Absolutely. And Claire, I guess that, you know, perhaps we could describe Christians Shoes as a relatively traditional type of business, a fairly established retail outlet on the high street. What other kind of businesses are picking this up, or picking MTD up from your experience? Is it mostly kind of traditional type businesses you're dealing with, or are there a whole host of different clients you're working with?
This whole host. And obviously we've got quite a few cash businesses as well. So we've got Chinese restaurants, hairdressers. So everyone's going to have to do this if they're VAT registered. And then going forward, the whole plan for Making Tax Digital is that it'll incorporate income tax, it'll incorporate corporation tax, and ultimately your self-assessment tax return will be on there. So, and the aim, ultimate aim is that if you're earning through a trade any more than £10,000 a year, you have to do that through Making Tax Digital. So all those people who perhaps work Monday to Friday, but also sell things on eBay or Facebook or whatever, that information is already been picked up by HMRC. So that will all have to be declared on through Making Tax Digital. So the whole aim behind it is to shut the tax gap, really, close that tax gap between what they think people are earning and what people are actually declaring, and then collect the tax on the difference.
Okay, so it's a busy time for your industry, and it sounds as though it's a busy time for footwear as well, so that's wonderful. So Claire, I think we're going to wrap up there, but I just want to finish off by asking you for some contact details or next steps, please. So any companies listening out there or viewing out there who want to find out more about Making Tax Digital and the next steps that they should take, how do they get in touch with Elsby Co?
Okay, probably the easiest way is to log on to our website, which is www.elsbyandco.co.uk. We're running workshops, lunchtime workshops on Making Tax Digital, and the cost only being £10, which we donate to Macmillan Cancer Support. So they can log on, register for a workshop, or they can just contact us either through email or phone the office, and we'll take it from there.
Wonderful. Couldn't ask for any more. Sounds like highly valuable stuff, and certainly action that I think any VAT registered business should be taking. So listen, David Wheway, thank you so much for speaking with me today. Claire Elsby, really appreciate your time. And that is the end of today's podcast and vlogcast, because we're doing video and sound today. And thank you very much to our listeners and viewers.
Thank you.
Thank you.